Welcome back, everybody. Last week's episode seems to have been fairly well received, which I'm pleased about. I know it was a little bit long-winded. Guys, you need to understand something about me. I am passionate about teaching new fishermen about bass fishing, and I tend to ramble sometimes. And it's just because I have so much information in my head that I want to share that I can't seem to get it out fast enough. This week we're going to do reels, buying reels. And I suspect that it's going to be a two-part episode. What I'm going to try and do is we'll cover spinning reels and casting reels, one and one. There's a lot to get through, but I hope that this information is going to help you make smart choices when you buy your first reels. And for those of you that have already got some reels and you're looking to upgrade, I hope that it helps you too. One thing I forgot to say last week, which is very important, and it may sound a little odd, but if you think about it, you'll understand why I say what I say. When you're buying your most expensive fishing tackle, your rods and your reels and things like that, try to buy the most expensive stuff that you can afford. If your budget is, for example, $50, spend $50. Don't spend $35 because that one's $15 cheaper and you can buy a packet of worms and some hooks. And guys, the reason I say that is the way the fishing tackle industry is now, it is literally, other than sales, obviously, the more expensive the item, the better the technology and the manufacturing that has gone into it. So for example, if you go to Bass Pro Shops and a reel costs $100, other than the profit margin, it has cost $100 to make that reel. And on fishing tackle, profit margins are relatively low if you compare them to other sporting goods. So obviously you want to have a look at sales and get the best bang for your buck as well. I mean, that goes without saying. But when you're going to specifically buy something, spend your whole budget on that one item. And it will stand you in good stead as you go along. The more, and I'm not saying to you go out and spend $500 on a reel. If you can afford to do that, do it. Absolutely do it. But as you go along and you start either upgrading or adding to your rod and reel arsenal, which you will do, trust me. If you put in the time and the effort and you spend time buying quality gear, that gear will stand you in good stead. As an example, this is a Shimano Chronoc CI4. This reel is almost 15 years old. Now, at the time, it was a fairly expensive reel. It's not a top of the range reel. It's about a middle of the range reel for Shimano. But I had previously bought cheaper Shimano reels, and at the level that I was at then, which was tournament angling mainly, I was fishing probably 6 to 8 times a month. And even though the cheaper gear is still serviceable and it's still good stuff, and now with the technology that we've got, most of it is very good stuff, it couldn't stand up to the hammering that I was putting it through. And I am hard on my gear. At that stage I was tournament fishing, so I was hard on my gear. There's no sugarcoating it. There's no pleasant way to say it. When you're fishing at that level and you are tournament fishing, you hammer your gear. It's just the way it is. Now, for a weekend angler, which I am now, and in fact I am a once a year angler, you're not going to put that much of a hammering on your tackle. That doesn't mean buy a cheaper tackle. It just means that that tackle will last you longer. I'm also going to talk, we might not do it in this video, but I'm also going to talk about storage, maintenance, looking after your stuff. And we might make a separate episode about that, because I'll talk to you about looking after rods as well. And although you can look at it, oh, it's just a fishing rod and reel. If you are someone that doesn't have a lot of money to spend on rods and reels, the few simple tricks and tips that I show you for looking after them can make them last a long time. This reel here, it's a Shimano Calais 100A. This reel's 20 years old. And other than the fact that it probably now needs new drag washers, this reel is still in like new condition. Now, that's a very expensive reel, and I bought it when I was a lot younger, but it's a great reel. What we're going to try and do today is something a little different, which I'm glad most of you will be happy about. I am going to try and put the camera over the reel. Because fishing reels are so small, and the stuff that I need to explain to you in these episodes, I want the camera as close to my hands as possible. So you're not going to get to see my ugly mug for most of the video, which I think is a good thing. I hope you enjoy this, guys. We're going to have a lot of fun. Stick with it. We're getting there now. We're into the tackle. Next week's episode is going to be very interesting. We're starting on probably stuff like terminal tackle or fishing line or stuff like that. And then we're into the lures and things like that. And it's a lot of fun. I hope you'll join me for the ride. Let's get into it. Okay, here we go. Now, a couple of things that you need to know when you're buying spinning reels. All reels, not just spinning reels, come in different sizes. So, how do we know what size reel we need for bass fishing? Well, we'll tie that in with what we did last week with the rods. So, for most applications in bass fishing, a 2,500 size or a 3,000 size spinning reel is going to be sufficient. It's going to be perfect. There's a couple of reasons why you would want to go for that size of reel for bass fishing. Mostly it's for the line capacity. So this part over here, this is the spool, this holds the line. You're going to need a certain amount of line to fling lures out and just to do your general casting, and if you fight a big fish and it runs and that kind of thing. So how do I find out what size the reel is? It's pretty simple. If you look on the reel itself, this is a 2,000 size reel. Let's see if we can get that in focus there. 2,000 size. So these reels are not for bass fishing. As you know, I am not a spinning rod fan. These are my panfish reels. So let's get into the various parts of the reel so that if I speak about them, you'll know what I'm talking about. We'll go from front to back. And again, we don't need to know all the technical stuff. We're just going to know the general parts. So this is the spool here. And the spool, its only job is to hold the line. It has no other job. This is the spool nut. That's just the nut that keeps the spool onto the whole reel. This is the bail or bail arm. That's what helps to direct the line onto the spool when you're winding it in. And also, this is what you would do when you were casting. You would pull the spool, the bail arm back, hold the line with your finger, and then as you cast, you let go of the line with your finger, and the line will come off the spool. Now, a couple of things about spools. The technology today, what a lot of manufacturers have done is they have done, particularly on the bigger size reels, like we've spoken about the 2,500 and the 3,000 size, they made the spools wider but shallower. And what that does is, as long as you have the correct stripper guide on your spinning rod, it allows the line to come off the reel a lot easier and then giving you a lot more distance. This knob on the front of the spool here, on most reels, is what controls the drag tension on your reel. And basically what that means is when you tighten or loosen this knob, when the fish is pulling, when you hook a fish and it's fighting, it allows the fish to pull line off the reel so that you don't snap the fish off. So that is how you tighten and loosen the drag on most spinning reels. The drag is underneath here. Basically what it is a series of washers that when you tighten it, it compresses them and makes it harder for the line to pull out. And when you loosen it, it slacks them off and makes it easier for the line to go out. Obviously, this is the handle of the reel. Most reels have some or other way that you can collapse the handle. That's pretty much just for storage. That's just a little button on the side. They all differ. And then to take the handle off, you've got this little knob here that you will just unscrew and the whole handle comes off. Most people fish with spinning reels left-handed. I don't know why that is. Some people say it's so that you've got your stronger hand on the rod. I am not a spinning reel and rod aficionado. I am not going to say yes or no to that. So essentially what would happen is you would undo this knob here, swap the handle around because that whole handle will pull out, and then the knob would go onto the other side and you would just tighten it back down. As we said in last week's episodes, I believe that spinning rods and spinning reels are the best entry for most people into your beginning of buying tackle for your bass fishing journey. Underneath the reel, on most reels, there's some type of button, and it's a bit difficult to see. We just point to it there. And all that does is when you click that button over, it allows you to wind backwards and forwards. And some people prefer to do that other than to fight the fish on the drag. Last week we said that spinning reels and spinning rods are probably the best entry into bass fishing for most new bass anglers, and I still believe that. The operation of the reel is a lot easier, and they're easier to cast with. It's just easier to learn on for adults and for children. And some people never go away from spinning reels, and that's okay. If a spinning reel is your thing, it's your thing. And there are spinning reels which are just as high quality and just as expensive. In fact, there are some spinning reels that are even more expensive than bait casting reels. So if that is what you are comfortable with, that is what you should use. There's no right or wrong. Don't listen to me saying I don't like spinning reels. It's just because I don't like them. I've had bad experiences with them in my personal fishing, which could be completely different experiences to what you have in your fishing. So it's just that I don't like them. Now, if you are concerned that a 2,500 size reel is not a heck of a lot bigger than this, and I don't have giant hands, just for comparison, this that I'm using to point out the various things on the reel is just a paintbrush. So you can see a small paintbrush, so you can see just for size comparison. But if you are concerned that that's not your children are not going to be able to, or your wife who may have small hands is not going to be able to operate a reel that size, that's fine. Well, what you would do is then go to a smaller sized reel. And as they grow, not your wife, your children, as they grow, you would obviously progress them onto a bigger reel. But you can see there's a distinct size difference in the reels there. This is a 1,000 size. And I think you get one smaller than this, which would be a 500. So, and this would be easily manageable for a child of 4 or 5 years old. It's a tiny little reel. But everything on this reel is the same as this reel. It's identical. It's just smaller. Spinning reels, as a rule, hold quite a bit of line. And if you go to smaller diameters of line or onto braid, as I've used here, with it looks like just a normal monofilament leader, you get quite a bit of line on a spinning reel. Now, you could do the same on a casting reel, but to cast with thin braid on a casting reel is a lot more difficult than on a spinning reel. So the majority of people that use spinning reels for bass fishing would probably use braid as the main line and then have some type of leader that connects to the lure or the hook or whatever the case might be. So that's spinning reels. They're not complicated. And you find spinning reels in all budget brackets, from just a few dollars up to several hundred, and I mean several $100s. A couple of things to finish up the spinning reel chapter, and we're definitely going into 2 episodes here. On spinning reels, you'll find retrieve ratios. Now what that means is when you turn the handle once, the line will be spooled onto the spool several times depending on what the ratio is. I think an average ratio for most spinning reels is probably 5.2 or 5.5 to 1. That means every time you turn the handle once, the bail or bail arm will turn 5.2 to 5.5 times. It is not as much of a deal with spinning reels as it is with casting reels. There are, in my experience, there are less retrieve ratios with spinning reels than there are with casting reels. So if you get a spinning reel with around a 5.5 to 1 retrieve ratio, it's going to be perfect to pair with your 7-foot medium heavy rod that we discussed last week. Maybe in the next episode or the episode after that, we're going to go into different types of line. You'll have heard me talk about braid today and monofilament and fluorocarbon in previous videos. I will explain all of that to you. So here's what you need to do. Go out, get yourself a nice middle of the range spinning reel, price wise, as your first one. Stick it on your 7-foot medium heavy rod and get to casting. And like we suggested last week, 14-pound monofilament line is going to do it when you're learning. With a spinning reel, you could go slightly less, maybe to 12-pound monofilament line. Don't be intimidated, guys. Just do it. Get out there and do it. It's a lot of fun. And even learning to cast the reel and messing it up is a lot of fun. I encourage you all to do it. Take your children with you. Take the rest of your family with you. Take your friends with you. As we did last week, I'm going to put some links in the description below for different types of spinning reels, different price brackets that you guys can have a look at. You will have noticed last week that I only put direct links to the Guggen Squad page. That's because some of the other manufacturers that I've approached have not given me permission to link directly to their pages. But I still put the models in, so you guys can just Google them. It's only recommendations. There are hundreds and hundreds of different brands of spinning reels, rods, tackle everything that we're going to go through. I hope you like this new format that we did today. It's probably not perfect, but it's something that we're going to try, especially when we get to the smaller things like lures and that kind of stuff. I want you guys to see exactly what I'm talking about and not with me just holding the thing up going, this is a and this is a. It's important that you understand the different things for when we do the videos on setting up. And then you could always go back to this video and go, okay, that's what he was talking about. That's the spool tension knob. That's the level wind, whatever the case might be. The link to the Guggen Squad spinning reels, they are good reels. I've used a couple of them. Fantastic reels for the price point that they're at. They also have a lot of different models and sizes that you can choose from. So, as I said, guys, get out there and do it. That's going to be it for this week. I think we're going to launch episode 2, which will be bait casting tomorrow. These ones I feel need to be close together to help you to make your decisions when you're purchasing. Spring's coming in America. They're going into winter in South Africa, so it doesn't apply as much, but it doesn't matter. Just get out there and enjoy yourselves. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.